Hi, everyone. Welcome to Taipei Blockchain Week. It's great to see you here. So our panel today explores a fairly wide theme, how blockchain and Web3 can empower communities, fund critical research, and protect fundamental rights around the world. I'm William, strategy lead at BioProtocol, and I'll be moderating today's panel. I'm joined by four amazing founders today who are each tackling this from a different angle. Ethan Chae, core contributor at Hippo Protocol, Jeff Hu, founder and CEO of Turing Space, Aaron Malone, founder and CEO of Unbound Science, and Andrea Chang, founder and CEO of Bloom Protocol. So why don't we start with a round of intros? Ethan, you can go first.
Well, I'm Ethan. I'm a founder and co-contributor of Hippo Protocol. We work on the problem data sovereignty regarding your healthcare data. So we help you to manage and own your healthcare data using blockchain as a basic technology.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff. I'm the CEO of Turing Space. We do digital identity for governments, hospitals, and banks. Right now operating in US, Netherlands, Japan, and Taiwan. Good to see you.
My name is Aaron Malone. I'm the founder of Unbound Science, which is a platform for deep tech to be distributed around the world faster than ever before. Think of us kind of like a GitHub for blueprints, instruction manuals, and materials lists for things like power plants and waste modification and quantum tech and things of that nature. Or you can think of us as like the WikiLeaks for suppressed disruptive technologies that we're going to now create a platform for so they can't be censored and withheld from humanity anymore.
Hi, I'm founder and CEO of Bloom Protocol. We are building an early capital formation layer. You can think of it as Web3 version product hunt that we want to find builders, both in Web3 and Web2, to connect with their first 1,000 supporters.
Great. I'll do it a little bit differently today since everyone is kind of working on a different sector and area. So the first question would be directed to everyone, but the following ones will be centered around specific panelists. So the first question would be around like project vision. I know each of you is tackling a different piece of the puzzle, whether it be human rights, science, or a broader social impact. Could you share more regarding how your project is using blockchain to solve problems in your specific field? Why don't we start with Andrea first?
So our core goal has always been to find, to help projects to find their first 1,000 or it can be fewer or more their core supporters. The reason why we do that is that when I was working at venture capital, I saw a lot of founders that they are very focusing on product and community, but they were not just ready for playing the crypto game. Like, to be honest, a lot of projects are not just suitable for issuing tokens. But that doesn't mean that they won't be suitable forever. But I think what most important is that to help them to validate their product market fit, to engage with a community as early as possible, to go to market. So that is our core goal, to help these conscientious founders to market and find the first check as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
We're using blockchain to make sure that users' identities can be kept confidential in a combination with zero-knowledge proofs. We use NFT technology in the background rather than a profile picture to create a user ID for all of our individual users. And then we use a combination of other Web3 technologies like decentralized file storage, encryption, and things like that to make sure that the data that's coming out of the inventors is never going to be lost, and it can always be owned by whoever publishes it. And then we have a sharing key that will decrypt the stored files and make it available to whoever the inventor chooses to share it with. So that's how we're using blockchain.
And we are a certificate company. So what we do is, you can imagine when you graduate from school, you got a paper-based diploma. When you graduate, when you join the company, you got your proof of employment, and there are a pile of documents you store in your house. When you move from place A to place B, it easily got lost, right? How can you keep a paper document for 80 years during your entire lifespan? So what we do is we want to make it digitalized, put an e-signature on it, we hash it, we put a timestamp, and then we put it onto a European blockchain to give it a second backup. So in the future, when Turing space has been adopted everywhere, right now we have a wallet. In your wallet, there are two types of things. One is your cash and credit cards. The second one is the ID cards that prove who are you, right? There are a lot of ID cards, your healthcare card, your student card, your like work ID, and your national ID. What Turing is working on is put those ID into your Web3 wallets, so make it portable, but still verifiable and prove that you are you. So that's the thing we are doing. Thanks.
Hippo, I think we use a lot of technology already mentioned before by Aaron and Jeff under the vision that we want to help everyone completely own their healthcare data and like have data sovereignty and achieve data sovereignty over like the most important data concerning yourself. More and more as like the technology develops, the data concerning your like body status, your like all these different like data points on like blood pressure, etc. It's becoming more and more important, including your genomic data. And what's happening in the market is that although those are very important piece of and valuable part of us, we don't really own it. So all these like healthcare data they're all siloed in different hospitals and EMR servers, and they don't really share it with you. So if you go to the doctor and ask for your data, they're not going to give you it in a raw data format. They're going to give you in documents. And if you want like your MRI kind of like images, they'll give you in CDs or like USBs. And those are not really transferable, and it's not easy for you to manage it in a single point of management. So what we help to build is we provide the data infrastructure using all this technology they mentioned before, so that you as a user can always you know what to share and how to share to the concerned people, and you have full control over what is rightfully yours. And we are doing it one by one. So we are doing POC with hospitals, major hospital chains in Korea, and also we are launching B2C side app that helps you consolidate your data. So when you go to a doctor and you can have sessions with the doctors, and then our AI agent help you transcribe it and turn it into raw data format, which could be consolidated across different departments.
Ethan, let me add a little bit on that and also ask you a follow-up question. So you mentioned that like one of the promises of Web3 is shifting power back to the individual, right? Whether it's about money, identity, data. Like, what does that shift look like in practice specifically? Because, I know Hippo is focused on data sovereignty, as you mentioned, giving people ownership of their own data and even a share of the value that it generates, right?
Yep.
How does that change the way research and innovation happen compared to the traditional model where hospitals and EMRs keep all the proceeds?
Yep. I mean, like our long-term vision is to be able to replace the current system where data is shared and data is kept. But so what we're trying to do is currently all these pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies, they buy data. They still buy your healthcare data, but they don't buy it from you. They buy from companies that store your data, and it's in anonymized fashion, anonymized format. But with our current technology, they can always pinpoint you with anonymized data. So basically, they're selling your data, and all the revenue goes to them, and you don't get a single dime out of it. So what we're trying to do is that we give you tools where you can manage your healthcare data and store it in a safe manner. So it's like we use blockchain in here for encryption. So we use like your public key so that only you have access to it. You can decrypt it using a private key. So you are the only one who have full control of your data and what to share, who to share, and all the transactions regarding your data is recorded on chain. So you can actually know where your data is headed to, and whatever revenue that's generated from it, you can claim it yourself. So how this will change research is that people who want your data for their research can directly ask you for it, and then you can get the proceeds from it. This is a very long-term vision because it's very hard to convince current stakeholders in the healthcare industry, especially insurance companies and hospitals, because they don't want to lose this very good profit-generating model and to the user. So we are tackling by one.
Great. Thanks for the very comprehensive answer. Let's move on to Jeff right now. Adding a little bit to data sovereignty, right? Self-sovereign identity can protect refugees and those under oppressive regimes specifically. How do we balance privacy with accountability, and where do you think is the line between transparency and privacy when rights are at stake?
Yeah, that's always a question, right? When you go too much into detail, do you revealing someone's data without consent or approval? I went to Switzerland every quarter there's a roundtable conferences hosted by IOE, which is International Organization of Employers. So what they're discussing is, in the world, right now we have around 200 countries. There are natural disaster and like human-originated disaster like war. A lot of migrants and refugees move from one country to a destination country. And how do you prove you are you, right? When you, for example, if a war happens somewhere and you only got 1 hour to go to escape to the other country, you don't have the time to went back to your house and get all your document ready. And when you are in that country, how do you prove, okay, I was a student. I'm a master's student in computer science. I was a professor. How do you prove you're a professional doctor or nurse practitioner without all the credential that is portable? So we're discussing with IOE and also those kind of organizations on building more like a global protocol that can empower refugee that you don't need to bring paper document anymore. You bring your mobile devices, or you even bring smaller portable devices that contain all your verifiable credentials with you. So it doesn't matter where you are, anytime. People still can verify you. And there's one more case is that if you're from a school that during a war, for example, a war in Ukraine, your school got occupied by Russian soldiers, someone want to verify your diploma, they call there, someone pick up, they speak Russian, right? How do they verify your diploma credibility when your school doesn't exist anymore? In Taiwan, we have 145 universities, but the number is decreasing. So there will be one day your school doesn't exist anymore. How do you prove that you graduate from that school? So that's always a problem. So come back to the issue about transparency and privacy is making the data verifiable is a key. And transparency depends on the personal consent. The personal consent determines what is the percentage I want to reveal, I want to show to the requesting parties. So for example, like if I move to a destination country or city, when the policeman want to verify my driver license. In Taiwan right now, you give out your national ID, right? That person see what is the name of your spouse, what is the name of your father, your mom and dad, and what is your address. But the policeman doesn't need to. So what Turing is working on is, can we do a zero knowledge proof on it, that the policeman only see a true-false answer, yes, no answer. I only want to know the person in front of me is a licensed driver, a okay driver. I want to know the person in front of me who want to buy alcohol in the convenience store is over 18. It's a yes, no question instead of personal data details. So that's the conclusion is what Turing is building is using zero knowledge trust. Zero knowledge proof technology on it. Thank you.
A follow-up to what you just said. How exactly do you scale this business model worldwide?
So for the business model is who are getting value, right? And who will be paying. So in the entire system of the credential, issuer, holder, verifier, there's we call trust triangle. I'll use a few examples. School issue diploma to students. Student presented to recruiter. Recruiter are verifier. Hospital issue credential, like medical records approved to patients. Patients presented to maybe insurance company, right? So issuer, holder, verifier. Right now we are charging the issuer first because that's easier to understand. It's like they buy a printer. They need to print paper certificate, they need to print digital certificates. So they subscribe annual printer from our services. So that's how we charge. The second way is we charge premium on the holder. So when someone is nearly for free for everyone, but if you want to have an additional feature, you want to categorize your certificate, you want to generate your personal Wikipedia out of all the credential like that, the fun feature, you pay premium monthly. So that's a holder side. The verifier side is depending on transaction. So if someone wants to apply for something, they present their credential. And what is the transaction fee within? If it's 2,000, then we'll say, okay, we have a better way to shorten your time consumption from 1 month of application to 1 day. Can you pay 4,000? Do you want to pay 4,000? If they want to pay 4,000, we take a cut out of it. So conclusion, issuer annual fee, holder premium fee, transaction-based cut. There will be a business model on it. Yeah, thank you.
Got it. Very detailed answer. In the essence of time, let's move on to Aaron. This question is regarding building sustainable impact. Many social good projects collapse once speculation fades, especially in Web3, right? What incentive models usually sustain long-term impact, especially in your work with Unbound Science? How do you align long-term sustainability with scientific innovation?
Science has never really been a profitable business. It's always been supported by philanthropists or other products in a large organization that just happens to have a research wing or massive government contracts because it takes so long to come up with a product or a tool. And I don't think decentralized science is going to be any different. So we need to be able to augment our treasuries somehow. You can either throw them in the market and risk them and risk going out of business even sooner than you already were, or you can potentially build side projects and have an entire ecosystem that's powered by one token where all of the fees that are being collected from maybe DeFi lending or some degen gambling or a game are then being used to support the scientists and the projects there. I think that's going to be really critical because science right now is trying to be stuffed into a finance box that it doesn't fit in. If you have a token that's used for governance in a science project, why should that thing even ever be listed on exchanges and used for value speculation when it's not designed for that? So these are the questions that we're having to ask ourselves now as scientists entering the Web3 space. How do we create an entire new economic model that attracts community and allows us to run a business? So at Unbound Science, we have 6 different verticals that we'll be using to generate fees, from premium platform features like a traditional SaaS company would use, to nonprofit philanthropy with our foundation that allows us to write tax receipts from traditional donors. We have stablecoin pools that allow anyone to donate, and we collect fees from any transaction that's coming in and out of the platform, including to our third-party marketplaces where different inventions can be leased and licensed around the world. These royalty contracts could potentially be worth billions of dollars. So taking a small sliver of that over thousands or tens of thousands of scientists will allow us to stay in business for a long time.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to Andrea. This question is regarding research and shared IP. Blockchain is changing how we fund research overall, especially the aspect of decentralized science, right? How do we design models where discoveries benefit everyone, not just private owners? I know you have a background in venture capital, and so you definitely have a very deep understanding in this field, from NGC to Oak Grove to now Bloom, right? Bloom is pioneering what you call an internet capital market for science. Can you explain what that means in practice and how it changes how research gets funded in general?
Yeah, just to recap the concept of internet capital markets, it's a term that recently got promoted by Solana Foundation. The core of it is basically to onboard the capital in the real world on chain. And what it means is that eventually what they see in the future is that right now in the equity capital markets, people or listed companies, they get their capital from the equity markets. But in the future, as we enter the so-called internet capital market era, like listed companies or like pre-IPO companies, they can get capital from the capital world. And how it's related to Bloom Protocol is that we position ourselves as the earliest stage in this whole internet capital market ecosystem. So what we build essentially is to help projects to find their early supporters and their first check, right? And what it means is that we can actually source projects to all the token launchpads after they prove themselves. So just to circle back to the main question of how crypto capital can fund research. So actually for Bloom Protocol, we don't just target science. Science is not our first focus. Our first focus is actually those AI-powered teams, because we see a very big trend that AI is basically changing our lives, and it's also changing how builders produce their products. And what it means is that I see a very big opportunity is that in the future, there will be more builders. And these new builders came from young builders, like school builders who previously they don't have the capital or network to hire, to raise capital, but now they can because AI hugely lowered the development cost and design cost. And also we see a very big trend that in the bigger companies, like they are also laying off people, right? Because they simply just don't need that many staffs. And so these people, even if they are still working at the big companies, they have more time because AI saved them a lot of capacity. So like when you're working, you can just use AI to test your ideas. But after you have the idea and you have the product, what's next, right? And the next is that you want to scale your product and make it into a business. And this is where Bloom Protocol comes in. We want to solve the core problems that every builders will face, which is finding your true supporters and your first check. So yeah, hope I answer your question.
Yes, for sure. Looking forward to what Bloom is building. Since we have a little bit more time, I'm going to ask another more general question for every single one of you. Let's start with Andrea as well. I'd like to ask each of you like a quick final thought, right? You know, looking 5 years ahead into the future, what's the one outcome you hope the world credits Web3 with achieving, whether in science, communities, or human rights?
Yeah, I think the core of crypto, or maybe the core spirit of so-called CryptoPunk is basically like decentralization, right? And like decentralization of the capital in a fair way. Because in the traditional equity markets, like a lot of builders, if like I keep repeating, if you are not born in certain countries, like Taiwan is already quite lucky that we are born here, right? But if you are a very talented builder and you are built in a country that doesn't have very mature private capital ecosystem, the chances that you become successful or you get funded or even listed, the chances are just too low, just because you are born there. It's not really about talent or anything. So I think the new crypto capital gives us hope that as long as you have the idea, and now with the help of AI, right, like you can actually really scale your product into a real business, and you have a fair chance. So that is also what I want to see in Web3. It's just that in the previous years, as a new technology innovation comes, there will be a lot of hype. But after hypes, I see a lot of product-led builders and real builders who really want to do something. They can survive and do the change. And I hope that Bloom Protocol can create the value for these builders. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And to add to that, I would say I'm really excited to see the advancement of sovereign network states where communities of people around the world physically can actually unite and have a shared virtual economy with common beliefs, and that will actually allow them to legally separate from wherever they're physically domiciled so they can serve each other. It's become more and more apparent that many world governments do not have their citizens' best interests in mind. And now we have the tools as humans to become more self-sovereign than ever. Unbound Science is primarily dedicated to spreading the tools to help push that further with the next generation of self-sovereign energy, food supply, handling waste, and also medical. Once we're able to do all these things and we don't have to rely on governments, whether national or local, to help us with anything, they lose a lot of the power on that two-way street. And we can simply say, we don't need you and you have no right to tax us because we're not using you for anything. So that's the future that I hope that we're moving towards at an accelerated pace over the next 5 years.
Within 5 years, in 2030, we believe that the wallet, the physical wallet, gonna disappear. So I bet I just recorded similar answer in the other podcast. Talk about like in 2030 that we have a pants right here and we have two pockets, right? On my left is my mobile phone. Right, you use a mobile phone to access internet to connect to the world. On my right, there's a wallet. In your wallet, there are two things: cash, credit card, and your ID cards. So when the cash payment become mobile payments, we don't need cash anymore. So like in UK, they're putting cash back to museum. They're saying, okay, we don't want to use any cash-based payment. We can use credit card or mobile payments. So that will be first. And the second is, people will have a better way to prove they are themselves. You have a better way to prove that you are yourself instead of using a plastic card, right? Like, why do we need to rely on a plastic card saying, okay, because we got this two. One is national ID, one is healthcare ID, so I'm myself. Can I just be there by myself and proving that I'm myself? There should be a better way to do it. And why do we need a passport, right? Why do we need a small booklet to prove that we are from that nationality? Why do we need to rely so much on the government-proof endorsed identity that we are just a natural individuals? So in the view of 2030, we believe that maybe we don't need pocket anymore. I don't know, maybe we still need it, like on our pants, but yeah, we just don't need any plastic card as ID card. So that would be my view within 5 years. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I think fundamentally all the infrastructure that a lot of our day-to-day life is built on, like, all the documents that we have to print out and like hand it to someone else, and the fact that you need to have prescription printed out and give it to the pharmacy. You need to, like, when you're changing hospital to another, you have to get all your medical record from one hospital printed out or put it in a CD and hand it over to another hospital. All those like transfers and exchange of data, your credentials, all your like background history, I think that'll be probably on-chain. It doesn't really have to be on blockchain itself, but blockchain will be a medium where you actually encrypt it, decrypt it, and get it saved somewhere safe that only you have access to it. So that will fundamentally change how payments will be done, how proving things or your credentials will be done, exchange of data, and sharing of IPs, your rights, and like the things that could be all kind of things that we don't imagine to be assets that we own, which could be your genomic data, your healthcare data, it could be your credit records, credit scores. Those can be part of your asset portfolio that could be tokenized and that could be sold and that could be exchanged. What I think is, like we always kind of think all these changes might not take such a short time, but we already seen with AI that sometimes it just builds under the surface for a really long time. When you start seeing it, the change is super fast. I feel like in 5 years, there will be a lot of jobs lost, disappeared, and like replaced by AI. And then I also feel like a lot of the government-backed currencies, fiat currencies in Latin America or like Africa, like underdeveloped countries, I think they'll be pretty much replaced by stable currencies. That's what I feel like. So we are looking at a very critical time point where we'll see a lot of changes will happen due to all the development that has happened over the last 10 years. I mean, Hippo protocol as a protocol, we existed since 2017. And then back then, when we talked about putting healthcare data on blockchain, people, it was like kind of laughed at. And we're like very much close to finishing our POC and then making a more like adopted kind of protocol. So once we reach a certain point, I think all these innovations will take it will happen in such an accelerated speed that we would not even know it's happening. And then it's boom, it'll replace everything. That's what I feel like.
Thanks for your answer, Ethan. I think I agree largely with Jeff and you. And due to the essence of time, thank you, Ethan, Jeff, Aaron, and Andrea for sharing your insights today. I thank you all in the audience for joining us as well. I hope this session showed that Web3 isn't just about technology or speculation in general, but also about building systems that can truly empower people, accelerate science, and protect rights. Let's give our panelists a round of applause.